take it out further and look at Lakeway just for the third quarter. And, it's a way that we can look at things relative to whether they're picking up and accelerating versus where it was third quarter last year. In other words, we look at year-to-date through January. There's just the third quarter. So this is the third quarter.
So amazing numbers, by the way. Amazing numbers.
That's the highest we've ever seen for a third quarter number. We haven't gone through all the markets, but 32.9% sales increase the third quarter of 2012 in Lakeway versus 2011. That's an enormous increase. Look at the units sold. 85 versus 60 units sold in Lakeway 2012 for the third quarter versus 2011, up by 41.6%. This is the highest number we've seen for that in the Austin metro area. Now, you're looking at days on market increased for Lakeway from 76 to 276, from 83 days. Another strong number. And then you're looking at a 21% increase in the median price. Now, one quarter's numbers could obviously be skewed because we're talking about a smaller number of sales than the previous number for year to date. But in any event, we're talking about really strong numbers continuing for the third quarter. And I think what will be interesting as we continue our Austin Realty updates, we've got about 10 more of these markets that we cover, and I'm going to try and get them in at 2 or 3 at a time just so we get kind of caught up here for what happened at the end of the third quarter by the end of November. In other words, we'll talk about 2 or 3 markets per week. I doubt we're going to see big numbers like this in other parts of Austin, don't you?
It's hard to get those numbers because of the price point, specifically downtown, in the surrounding area.
Right.
But,
and what's interesting is if you're talking about this, I mean, the median price is, about $20,000 higher than the median price in Circle C. But if you look at Circle C's biggest challenge was there's just virtually nothing on the market, right? I mean, you're talking about less than 25 homes on the market. Right. Now, if I go look at Lake right now, we've got higher days on market than Circle C, but we've got over 100 homes on the market.
Wow.
So how many buyers are going to go into Lakeway and continue with this trend? Because you can't go buy a home in Southwest Austin. There's just not enough on the market. Now, there's longer-term implications for this, but it certainly bodes well for Lakeway. I mean, there's enough there to look at and buy that you can, in fact, purchase a home at a very similar price to what's in a lot of these communities in Southwest Austin, but instead of going in and looking at 25 homes in the entire marketplace, like in a place like Circle C, you go into Lakeway and there's over 100 homes available. And that allows more options at all price points. So that may have implications. We may be spending more time talking about this.
What do you think, how do you think your schools compare to each other, the Circle C area versus the Lakeway area? You think they're even?
Lake Travis ISD versus the schools specifically in Circle C that service that community are Austin ISD. All of them are very highly rated. I don't know. I think people could argue all day long about one versus the other, but you're both looking at that being a strength for both areas. I mean, certainly nobody talks negatively about Lake Travis ISD, which services Lakeway, but you certainly don't see anybody talking negatively about the particular schools that service the Circle C Southwest area. When you talk about the overall area for like Shady Hall, Circle C, those immediate areas, Legend Oaks, Western Oaks, like we talked about last week. So I think the biggest difference you're seeing is we're now in a position, and we talked about this with new construction in Circle C last week, for Lakeway specifically, this is going to come down to a supply and demand issue. We don't have this enormous supply and demand imbalance in Lakeway, whereas we do in Circle C. Now, if somebody wants to live in Circle C, they're probably going to wait. But if somebody's relocating into Austin, there's only 25 homes for sale. I'm just talking about what's happening here now as of the fourth quarter of 2012, and then things could change. But 100 homes to go look at active in all price points in Lakeway, and obviously they go to into the multi-million dollars, whereas they don't in Circle C. But overall, you're talking about a completely different supply and demand situation. You could actually go look at enough homes that you could get in the car with me today and we could find a home that you could purchase in the next 48 hours. But we can't make that same expectation for Circle C today. There's just not enough homes to live in. I mean, you could say, well, I don't like anything. Now, if you say I absolutely have to live in Circle C, you're going to have to settle and make some sort of a decision to buy something there. But in Lakeway, there's still enough, even in the fourth quarter of 2012, that we could, in fact, get you something that you probably would enjoy as a first choice home. That's, I think, the bigger implication than the argument about one school district versus another. If this continues into 2013 in the spring, you're likely to see some pretty big numbers out of Lakeway versus the communities in Southwest Austin. Remember our discussion last week about Legend Oaks? There's one property available in the entire market. One.
Mm-hmm. And everybody said it's overpriced.
And Lakeway's a much bigger community overall.